In the 1.8.0 release of VividCharts, we've made some changes to this scaled report workflow. And as a reminder, a scaled report is this mechanism that we have where you can create a template and then point that template at different records so that it automatically creates consistent reports based on the template. One of the popular use cases we find is project status reporting. So if you set up this template, you can point it at your project records, and then VividCharts will automatically generate and update all of the project status reports for the records that you choose. So we're making some changes in the 1.8 version because we heard from some customers that setting this up and making changes to it and managing it can be a little confusing at sometimes. So we're looking to ultimately streamline this process and make it easier to manage, which I have loaded with the 1.8 version of VividCharts. So this represents the new workflow to produce the scaled report. So same use case, same pretend use case, we are going to create a project status report, and we know that's what we want to do. So same thing, we will go and create something new. We'll click scaled reports, and now we land in this new space. So this is the space where once we generate things, this is where the cards will appear. And so we can see that nothing has been generated yet, but we're prompted to get started by editing the scaled report blueprint. And that's over here. So I have access to this edit panel because I have edit access on this scaled report. I just created it. And I also have the builder role in the system. So I can collapse this and get this out of the way, but here's the information I need to go and create things. I can change the title and the blueprint. If I click into this, this is where I'm going to give it the information so it knows what to produce. So again, in this, we're prompted to select a process area. We know it's going to be project, and this defines some of the options downstream that are going to make our lives easier. Okay, so click and continue, and we are in the scaled reports workflow. You can see the editor behind us, but there's this new panel over here, the scaled report settings, and this gives us all of the information that we need to be able to generate our scaled report right from this page. So project is a process area, we know that. The example record is there. And so all of these things determine which data displays as a preview on the canvas and how the table is mapped back to the parent record. In this case, as we're drawing this, we want this all to feed off of this project record. So this, if we draw charts in here, if there's a chart that we're drawing that requires a record as part of its definition, it will consume or inherit this record that we've set over here. And we'll get into that in just a little bit. But going down, we can see some other information here, reports to be generated, the table mapping, the format, the refresh frequency, and the card style. Things that we were used to seeing that we saw in the old process, it's all now just centralized in this one place, in addition to drawing the charts here. So again, let's, for the sake of the demo, do a really simple, let's draw the field. So or the name, sorry. So we'll select the field selector chart. Give it a table, project, PM project. I'll save that. Okay, so now we see the concepts that we mentioned before. 180 and 360 feedback is the project name, and it is in here by default, and it can't be changed. And that is because we've already set it here in our kind of global scaled report settings for this scaled report. So if ever in the future we wanted to see our preview keyed off of a different project record, we could go change it here and the charts would update. So for the sake of this, we'll keep going, and we want to draw the name. And for the sake of contrast, just to know that it's different from our 1.7 version, we'll style that one like that. Okay. So here's what we have. We're just about ready to generate them, but we have some other information to feed it. If we did want to generate it just as it is, we could do that right now. You can access this panel at any time if you have the proper permission. So you can edit this before you start building charts, after, whenever. Same thing here. I want to, if we didn't do anything, it would generate 187 records. I want to bring that down a little bit. So we'll say only generate the project status reports where the manager is Gary. And Gary, that will produce 27 records. I can collapse that and get it out of the way and keep going. So again, table mappings, all of this start with a default value that is keyed off of the project process area. And again, this just defines how other charts with other tables ultimately map back to the sysid of records on the PM project table. So we'll assume those are all good for this demo. Format is the slide deck. Refresh frequency is on demand, and the card style defaults to the first one. So we are good to generate 27 records. We can close this if we want, but we are good to go, so we will do it. Generating the thumbnail. We get some information, thinking, and then we see that we'll be redirected to the ScaledReport overview. So here we are, we did it successfully, and we'll wait for these to load up. And here we are. So same concept. We know this is the title of the project. We'll go and view this one, and it matches the format with that name. And the same for other records. Okay. So let's go through the same exercise. Say a stakeholder wanted to make a change to this report. That's fine. Let's look at how we would do that in the 1.8 version. So notice that there is this new link up here called Scaled Reports, and that is the quick route to any of the Scaled Reports. And you land here on the page where there's some information about what we've created. We know this one is the one we want to edit. There's a little thumbnail there, and it shows the number of reports that are generated. So if we click into this, we're back here. This looks familiar. I have edit access, so this is where I would go to make the change. And this is where the blueprint lives for this scaled report. So we'll edit that there. And we can make our change. We'll make this one too. And just from here, we're ready to generate again. You know, if you wanted to, you could take a peek at this. All of the information here remains the same. So we are good to generate, and it will show us the loading indicator. And here we are, it's accepting our updates, and we'll give this just a second. And here they are. Let's take a look. And they've got our new format. So that is a look at how the 1.8 version centralizes the Scaled Reports workflow, and hopefully that makes it easier to create, edit, and generate the Scaled Reports.